You're listening to Two Girls, One Crossword.
So, Grace.
Yes, Chelsea?
This episode of this podcast is going to be released on a very special day.
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. I'm so glad you knew immediately what I was talking about. Because you and I, we like Valentine's Day. It's cute.
I love the vibes of Valentine's Day.
Yes.
I love red and pink. I love hearts. I like Cupid. All that.
Mm-hmm. It's just cute and lovey.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, we have Valentine's. Well, we have capitalism to thank for Valentine's.
Yeah.
But it is cute, at the very least. And there's chocolate
I'm
involved.
a sucker for it.
I am too. It's okay, though.
I'm that way about everything. I'm like, rainbow capitalism is bad in Pride Month. But then Dunkin' Donuts came out with these rainbow reusable straws. And I was like, well, those are kind of cute, though. So I bought them.
What can we do? What can we do?
Yeah.
We have very little in this life.
Exactly. So
that makes us truly happy. Well, that's how they keep you down. But we can't get into this right now. What I'm trying to say, listeners, is that it's Valentine's on the day that this podcast is released, hopefully the day that you're listening to it. So happy Valentine's Day. I hope you eat at least one piece of chocolate today.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the law on Valentine's Day. You must eat at least one piece of chocolate.
I feel like I have a little bit of chocolate every day, but that's just me.
That's just me. That's just us. Two girls sitting in a hot tub.
Oh, I thought you were going to just say our segue into my title. Why are we so bad at that?
Listen, just because I have a podcast doesn't mean I'm good at having a podcast. If you have expectations, then you will be disappointed at some point.
So that's just us. Two girls, one crossword. I'm Grace Topinka.
And I'm Chelsea Rowan. Of course, we are your favorite weekly pod word crosscast. Back to you after a short hiatus.
For Chelsea's B-Day.
Because it was my birthday. In case you didn't know, I am an Aquarius.
Punxsutawney Phil.
Me and Punxsutawney Phil are birthday buddies. Yes. Yes, an Aquarius was born on Groundhog's Day, which is the perfect day for an Aquarius to be born. And if you don't understand, then I'm not going to explain it to you.
You can listen to Chelsea's Groundhog Day episode.
Ooh, it's true. It's a good one.
Sadly, you have to find it for yourself.
You have to find it for yourself. But sadly, Punxsutawney, he kicked the bucket recently.
He dies all the time.
He does die all the time. Like, we have to keep that in mind.
It's not the same one. It's like Shamu.
True. And it's like me and Grace.
SeaWorld.
We're not the same person every time we record.
No.
These are clones.
Just rotating of like two random girls.
In and out. Anyway, welcome back.
Shall we show off our little toast?
Yes. Okay, so speaking of my birthday, I was gifted an amazing gift, and Grace was also included in this gift. My boyfriend's mother sewed us these gorgeous crossword-inspired tote bags. Grace has already found an incredible use for hers. Grace, what's in your tote bag?
Yarn that I'm supposed to be using to make coasters, but I made two. And then I took a break. I have to take a break, okay?
She has to take a break. And if you're curious about what these tote bags look like, head over to our YouTube where you can see them, and you can see us looking cute, holding our tote bags. For those of you who hate us and YouTube, the bag is a crossword grid.
Giant
Crossword grid. We got, like 20 across, 3 down, etc. Grace and I took some time. We were trying to figure out if this was a crossword. I feel like it is a genuine crossword.
I think it is. It's hard to tell because it's like so zoomed in.
Yes.
But there's
Rachel.
no glaring issues like the not a crossword Twitter account.
Right, which I think is run by Rachel Faby. So Rachel, if you're listening, check out our YouTube and tell us if what you saw is a crossword. I think it is. And that's it for that segment.
That's it on our tote segment. Now
Yes.
we're going to move into our Poll-a-palooza segment.
Ooh.
We asked our Twitter followers, which Broadway flop are you buying tickets to?
I loved this poll.
In theory, because none of these are on Broadway. Options were Carrie, Spider-Man, King Kong, or Rocky.
Oh, what would you pick?
Well,
I know what you would pick.
Well, you may be surprised, actually. I'll go over the results. So in first place, Spider-Man with 50% of the votes.
Of course.
In second place, Rocky with 33% of the votes. In
Which is
third
surprising.
place, Carrie with 17% of the votes. And then with 0 votes at all, King Kong. Which King Kong would have been cool just to see the giant animatronic, but I actually voted for Rocky because when I was doing my research, I looked up like the scene where they bring the boxing ring into the middle of the audience and you get to like go on stage and it looks like a real boxing match. And it was just so wild. I've never seen anything like that in a Broadway play. So, but I also love Spider-Man and Carrie. So I was just feeling kind of, I don't know.
Torn. She was torn.
The Spider-Man is not real Spider-Man, so I'm not as interested in it. It's like barely has anything to do with the actual like Spider-Man lore and like the Spider-Man vibe. I would see Carrie. So honestly, I would see all of them.
Carrie would be my choice, which might be surprising to you, but I just feel like it is. I want to see the original because I feel like it's so batshit crazy that it's like one of those things that you're just like, this is insane and not necessarily scary. You know? So yeah.
Maybe we could find like a bootleg copy.
If you know where to find a bootleg copy of Carrie, like on, what was it on first? Was it on Broadway first or was it on
no, it did
West End?
Yeah, I think that one started in London. I think. Now I'm not sure.
Any Brits out there, please let us know if you got a copy. If you brought your camcorder into the theater with you. And
we won't tell anyone.
We won't write to Stephen King.
Send us the link.
Send it. I guess it means it's time to go into our hits and our shits. What do you think?
Let's do it.
I'll start us off.
Please.
Okay. I did the January. So we haven't been here for a bit. Some of my hits and shits are from the week where we didn't record, the last week, whatever. Deal with it. Okay. So from the January 31st, New Yorker by Cameron Austin Collins. There's a couple that I really liked. 21 across. Things to put stock in. And the answer was soups. Yes. It was soups. It was really good. I kept thinking like livestock, like a pen or something, but it was soups. Very good. I had to do this one, 23 across, curling venue, and the answer is rinks. Yes, I am watching the Olympics like a psychopath. I have not been watching curling though, although curling in the past has been a favorite sport of mine. And I feel like genuinely, like I mean this with 100% seriousness, if I could get a 4-person team together, you may see me at the Olympics in like 8 years.
I think that's something, like, I've always said that curling is, and I really have always said this, curling is like the one sport that I think you could pick up as an adult and take it to the Olympics.
I 100% agree with you. So Grace, what are you doing next week?
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if I have if I'm that dedicated.
I feel like I definitely am not that dedicated for sports, but I am dedicated to the idea of getting to the Olympics. Like if you planted that seed enough in me, imagine how wild that would be. Well, what a story.
Maybe we're naturally good at it. So
it's essentially like, okay, not to like shit on like the complication or the complicated like, play style of curling, but it's basically like shuffleboard or like bocce ball or like any of those things. So in theory, I'm already good at it.
Well,
and
I think we should give it a try and see.
Cool. And then this is another one from that puzzle that I liked. 63 across, meetups between right for each other people, ? This tripped me up, but the answer is Tinder dates. And the reason why I really like this is because it's right for each other people. That's cute. Which I think it went over my head because I've never been on a Tinder. I've never been on Tinder or like a dating app before. So I'm always like, I don't know what's better. What's the right one? Is right good or is left good?
Right is good.
Okay. Is that the same on all apps?
Right. I'm not sure. I think so.
I feel like it has to be. It'd be silly for one of the apps to do it backwards or something.
Yeah. Then people would be like, how come I'm matching with all these people that I hate?
Yes, exactly. Anyway, there we go.
That one's smart. Did you do the Wednesday New York Times, February 9th by Grant Thackeray?
I believe that I did this one. Yes. I think I just did this one, actually.
Well, it kind of jumped out at me because it was 2 of your topics twice in a row. 5 down. Sing in a high range, ? The answer is yodel.
Yodelay.
And then the next one, 6 down, was it changes length every 4 years. Abbreviation. It was Feb. Because you did leap year.
Leap year, baby. It's true.
And then I was almost going to do this as a topic. The 34 down virtual city dweller, Sim.
Sim.
We talked about Sims last time.
Yes.
But the theme of this one was fun. So an example would be 1 across. With 6 across, underwater creature that's not actually a 6 across. So it was jelly, and then the next one was fish. So jellyfish aren't actually fish. And then it did it again with electric eel, which I guess is not really an eel. And then they did it with sea cucumber. I really thought they were going to have seahorse somewhere in there, but they didn't. But then the last one in the theme was 64 across. With 65 across, underwater creature that actually is a 65 across, despite a common misconception. And the answer was orca whale. And my question is there really a misconception that orcas aren't whales?
I think people think that they're dolphins.
Dolphins or sharks? I was going to think maybe people thought they were sharks.
I think people think that they're like porpoises or whatever that family of like dolphins and like manatees are in, you know. They look like they could be. And there are dolphins, I think, that look sort of like orca whales, like they have that like two-tone to them.
Well, I feel like most people know them as being killer whales, so that's kind of dumb if you think that they're actually dolphins.
They're not dolphins, okay?
No offense if people think that.
Yeah, sorry if that's what you thought, but you were wrong. What else? What do I got here? Hold on. Let's see. My next comes from the Friday, February 4th New Yorker by Robin Weintraub. There's just a couple things in here that I like wanted to shout out because I don't know. First is 55 across. Dish invented at Hollywood's Brown Derby, and the answer is Cobb salad. I love like food history like this, where like a famous dish like a Cobb salad that you can get literally at any grocery store anywhere. Like where was it invented? It was invented at the Hollywood's Brown Derby, which is like a huge, like hugely famous restaurant in Hollywood, right? And so I just wanted to give a little bit of a background story. But if you're interested in salads, I did talk about salads. It was one of my weirder topics that I've done. It's on episode 35. It's called Salad Tossers. And my topic was the phrase salad days, which comes from Shakespeare. But there wasn't much on that. So then I also like highlighted a couple famous salads and where they came from. And I did talk about the Cobb salad a little bit. Anyway, the history behind the Cobb salad is that it's named after the restaurant's owner, Robert Howard Cobb. And there's a couple stories about how it was invented. Like maybe it was the head chef, maybe it was the manager, blah, blah, blah. But one of the famous stories that gets passed around is that the owner, Cobb, was had not eaten until near midnight. So he mixed together a bunch of leftovers that he found in the kitchen, and like one of the line chefs cooked him some bacon. He tossed it all together with some French dressing, and boom, the Cobb salad was born, and the rest is history. Okay? History.
Boom, baby. I remember that episode made me like crave salads, which I never do.
Sometimes I get such a craving for salads.
I know. You love your Caesar salads.
Caesar salads is like a fixation meal for me. It's one of those things that like I could eat it every single day for the rest of my life and we're Gucci.
We would be at the office at work and she would literally be making her own croutons by like toasting bread and then putting like olive oil and pepper on it.
I have an issue. But hey, if I get some spinach out of it, that's what I get.
Yeah.
Anyway, also from that puzzle, I wanted to shout out another clue because it's kind of related to Grace's Broadway topic. It's not a flop, but 53 down, Auntie Blank, the Patrick Dennis novel that was adapted into a musical. And the answer is Mame, Auntie Mame, which is one of my favorite. I've never seen the play, but it's one of my favorite films of all time, starring Rosalind Russell. It's hilarious. Essentially, like this boy becomes orphaned, like his family dies, and he is put in the care of his eccentric aunt, who like puts him through like all these like liberal schools, and he's like, you know, around all these like liberal theater people and like blah blah blah. It's hilarious and just amazing. And I just wanted to say that it ran on Broadway, the original Broadway production, from 1956 to 1958. So it was not a flop or a turkey. No. But yeah, I feel like I should force Grace to watch this one, or at least let her borrow my DVD, because I do have it on DVD. It's a good one.
I can't promise.
She can't promise, but
I feel
it's
like
worth
you
a
have
try.
to be there with me. Force me to watch.
Well, the last time I tried to get Grace to watch a movie, she agreed, and we had to turn it off halfway through because it was just not one of those that you can really watch with a friend.
We weren't in the right state of mind to be watching a movie that was like that complicated. I would say, and
trippy, but not in like a. Anyway, maybe next time I'll tell you the name of the movie.
Maybe next time. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I feel like I have a bunch of random one-offs. So I'll just say one that, well, maybe you have hits from this one. Did you do the February 8th New York, or wait. Sorry, the February 7th New Yorker by Elizabeth Gorski?
I believe that I did, yes.
I liked that the answer was pinups, but, you know, she could have clued it a bunch of ways. Mm-hmm. But the clue was 8 down, photos from a firefighter calendar.
Yes. Pinups. I don't have anything else from that one. Do you want to keep going and I'll let you know?
No, I literally just have like one-offs from...
Oh, well, keep going with your one-offs and I'll stop you if I have some more from those puzzles.
She'll stop me. I really think this was on purpose on the USA Today crossword, February 10th, 3 Wishes by Enrique Henestroza Anguano, edited by Molly Cowger and Eric Agard. 1 down was very bold, and the answer was brash. Isn't bold and brash the name of Squidward's painting in SpongeBob?
I think you're right. Somebody tell us if this was on purpose, because if it is, hello. What else? What do I have? I did a lot of the New Yorkers. I really love the New Yorker puzzles, like a lot. But I'll do a New York Times from the 4th of February, Friday. Joseph Greenbaum. Some really good ones here. 4 down. Casually. Loosey-goosey. I feel like I say loosey-goosey a lot.
You do.
Thank you. I liked 45 across. Stop working for good, ? The answer was turn evil.
Ooh, I like that.
It's
Wait,
nice.
This is the New Yorker?
This is New York Times.
Okay.
Friday. And then I liked this one because it tripped me up, and I think it purposely did this. 13 down, online hookup. I was like, what
modem?
Could this be? And the answer was modem. Yes. But I was like, online hookup, like a Tinder date? Like, what could it be? Got me.
Tripped up again.
And then I learned something. More fun facts. 32 down, quote, America's missing, broadcast emergency response, vis-a-vis Amber Alert, for example. And the answer is backronym. So I was like, what in the goddamn hell is a backronym? So essentially a backronym is when an acronym for anything is related to the actual thing that it's an acronym for. For example, Amber Alert, Amber, A-M-B-E-R, is an acronym for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response.
Mm-hmm.
And how is that related to an Amber Alert? Well, Amber was a 9-year-old who was kidnapped while riding her bicycle in Texas before being murdered. And so they created the Amber Alert in response to that. And then they used her name, Amber, to create this acronym, meaning...
So it's when you make an acronym after the fact, basically.
Yes. So, like, NASA is an acronym, but it's not a backronym. Because NASA has nothing to do with space.
Of backronyms? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Why don't you give me another clue that you liked, and I'll get a couple backronyms.
No. I'll look up, because you look at the clues. Or you tell your hits and shites, because I don't have that many.
All right, well, then I'll end with the February 9th New Yorker from Natan Last. 11 across, dropped shots, ? Was deleted scenes. I liked that. I was thinking like Irish car bombs or something, or like a sake bomb or something, like a dropped shot, but it was deleted scenes. 20 across, high-strung items, ? The answer was kites. For Thanksgiving.
That's cute.
My family and I rented a house in Ocean City, New Jersey, and there was nobody there because it was November, the end of November, early December on the Jersey Shore. But what we did do is we took our childhood kite out on the beach and we flew it like almost every day. It was so much fun. I love flying kites. If you ever want to fly a kite, let's go
there's
fly
a
a
hill
kite.
like in Lake Shore
Yes.
that people are always flying their kites out there. We should go. If you
We
have a
should go.
kite.
I don't have a kite, but I'll get a kite. And then I also like this 30 across, occasion for collaborating on a track. Into his relay races. Tricky. And this is the best one. This is how I read the clue. It's wicked and smelly. But it's wicked and smelly, and it's scented candle. I was like, oh, that's so good, because wicked and wicked are spelled the same. Very good. Very good stuff, Natan. Thank you.
I see. That is smart.
Yes.
All right. I'm back with some backronyms.
Okay.
Apparently, many U.S. Congress bills have backronyms as their names. Example include the American CARES Act of 2020, which stands for Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. And then the DREAM Act, Development Relief of Education for Alien Minors. The USA Patriot Act, united in strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism.
Which intern do you think has to come up with the titles for these? It's got to be an intern or like a chief aide.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they like go back and forth too.
I can just
okay.
it just makes me think of like Veep and like Selena with like all of her aides sitting around like screaming about what they're going to name whatever it is that they're coming up with. Funny stuff.
The APGAR score is used to assess the health of newborn babies, and it's named after Virginia APGAR, who created it. But 10 years after it was initially publicized, the backronym APGAR was coined in the U.S. As a mnemonic learning aid: appearance, pulse, grimace, activity, and respiration. So thanks, Virginia APGAR, for having the last name APGAR.
Okay. So these are backronyms. I learned something from the puzzle. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we got this week for Hits and Shits, which means it is time to flip the
that coin, baby.
Okay, I'm flipping the coin.
I'm frothing.
Now. It's tails.
Me. Okay. My topic comes from the USA February 10th puzzle, 3 Wishes by Enrique Hinestroza Anguano, edited by Molly Calgar and Eric Agard. And it's actually the themed answers for this puzzle.
Ooh,
so,
okay.
20 across, something to wish upon is a shooting star. 38 across, something to blow on to make a wish, a fallen eyelash. And 57 across, something to blow out to make a wish, a birthday candle.
Are we talking about like wishes or like good omens or something?
I'm talking about wishes, those 3 specifically, and then I have a bonus one.
Okay.
So, you're into wishes. Get ready.
I'm ready.
When you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. Do you believe in wishing on a falling star?
I don't not.
Okay, that's fair. What if I told you that falling stars weren't stars at all?
Oh my God.
They're meteors.
Meteors.
Mm-hmm. Classic misconception, just like orca whales. So they're meteors that have entered Earth's atmosphere, and they start to heat up from all the friction, leaving a visible streak in the sky. And with the naked eye, it's actually kind of rare to see them. But with a telescope, you might see one every 10 or 15 minutes. So if you're in the market for making a lot of wishes, a telescope might be a good investment for you.
Okay.
The idea of wishing on a falling star goes all the way back to ancient Greece in the 2nd century. So astronomer named Ptolemy used to think that shooting stars were caused by gods looking down from the heavens to the earth. So basically they would like make a little opening and kind of check in to see what was going on
Cute.
in Earth. And so the stars would fall out of the heavens through the opening and into Earth. And he was like, this is the perfect time to make a wish or pray and ask the gods for stuff, because they're like paying attention. Now they're like looking, they're paying attention to what's going on here. So
they've cut open the sky and they're like, yodel-hee hoo, how's it going down there?
Exactly. So use your time wisely. That's like the first example of wishing on a falling star that we see. But it exists in other cultures with slightly different twists. So the Mi'kmaq Nation from Nova Scotia has a legend about 2 sisters taken to heaven by 2 stars in the sky. One star represented a hawk and the other an eagle. But the sisters got sad and they missed their people down on Earth, and they begged Kluskop, the first human, to return them to Earth, and he agreed, with one condition. They were not allowed to look back to heaven. The younger sister disobeyed and turned into a shooting star as she tried to return.
Sad. Well, what can you do?
In Yorkshire, falling stars were considered the souls of new babies coming down from heaven. But in Romania, it was kind of the opposite. They were considered a sign of death. So they believe that every star is like a candle, and every person has a candle in the sky. So, and when they die, the candle blows out and falls from the sky. So you see a shooting star and you're that's someone I know.
Someone's gone. Yeah.
This negative view of shooting stars and meteors comes up a lot in Shakespeare's work. So, for example, in Antony and Cleopatra, this is a quote, "When my good stars that were my former guides have empty left their orbs and shot their fires into the abyss of hell." And this might sound familiar because we went over this in the Halley's Comet episode 32, Open Wide and Say Omen, and talked about how Halley's Comet, some people thought it was a bad omen for the King of England. And if you remember, Elmer of Malmesbury wrote about in his diary twice, 75 years apart. That's how they knew he was talking about Halley's Comet. And he talked about how much he hated it because every time it always coincided with like bad things in his life. So he thought it was bad luck.
Yeah, he had a rough time. He wrote a lot in his journal.
Yeah.
For 75 years, he was writing in that journal.
I mean, he went through a lot. So it's fair.
Admittedly, yeah.
But these days, shooting stars basically have shed their negative views, and we now embrace them. In lots of parts of the world, like in the US, you're supposed to close your eyes and maybe even say a nursery rhyme, like the starlight, star bright. But that one's the first star I see tonight, so
yeah,
make of that what you will. In Chile, you're supposed to pick up a stone at the exact time of seeing the star. And in the Philippines, you're supposed to tie a knot in your handkerchief when you see a shooting star. So you always have to
make
have
sure
that
you're
handy.
carrying. Yeah.
Be ready. And there's also a myth that if you say money 3 times before the shooting star disappears, then you will fall into financial luck. So
I'm going to start doing that.
Yeah. That's basically all there is on shooting stars. Next up, we're going to talk about blowing out birthday candles, which is
cute.
Kind of apt because Chelsea blew out birthday candles this weekend.
And didgeridoo.
Okay, so birthday cakes have been around forever. It makes sense. Like it's a celebration. You want to have a sweet treat. But where do the candles and the wishing come in? So it all goes back once again to ancient Greece. Once a month, the Greeks celebrated the birth of Artemis, who is the goddess of the moon, by making round moon-shaped cakes, and lit candles would be placed on the cake to mimic the glowing of the moon, and the smoke from the candles would carry wishes and prayers up to the gods in the sky.
Cute.
But those cakes back then wouldn't look like the icing-covered layered birthday cakes we have today. God only knows what they were making back then. For that, like the classic birthday cake, we have to go to Germany in 1746. A man named Count Ludwig von Zeisendorf held a lavish birthday celebration at his home, which included a large cake with candles stuck into it, and the number of candles corresponded to his age. That's like one of the first examples of that.
Cute.
In the Middle Ages, Germans also had Kinderfeste, which was a child's birthday celebration where they would get 1 candle per year of life, plus an extra one called the Light of Life to bring hope for another year. And we still see that today.
Yeah.
But it didn't work exactly how it does today. So the candles weren't blown out immediately. They would burn all day, and they would coat the cake in wax. And this was done because they believed that children were especially susceptible to evil spirits on their birthday, and that the candle served as a block. So if a candle was close to burning out, they would replace it right away. And it wasn't until the end of the day, after dinner time, that the birthday kid would be able to blow out the candles, but they had to blow them all out at once and hope that the smoke would make its way up to heaven.
Did they eat the cake?
Yes, and they ate the cake after. So I don't know what they did with the wax. But in the 18th century, German immigrants brought this tradition to the U.S. and other parts of the world. Some superstitions say that you have to make a silent wish and blow out all the candles on one go in order for the wish to come true. I didn't know that you had to do all at the same time.
I've heard that. It's not what we followed, obviously. Yeah. But I've heard that.
You also aren't supposed to tell anyone your wish after, which I've heard.
Same.
So, yes, if you've ever had trick candles that don't blow out, then your wish probably didn't come true.
Oh, my God.
And if you're wondering how trick candles work, I will tell you.
Tell me.
So, When regular candles get blown out, a small burning ember remains on the end of the wick. And it is this ember that causes the wisp of smoke to go up to heaven and bring your wish or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The ember is hot enough to burn the wax on the wick and create smoke, but not hot enough to ignite the wax coating of the wick back into a flame. However, trick candles add magnesium to the wick, and magnesium burns quickly at a low temperature. So the ember is hot enough to ignite the magnesium dust on the wick, which then ignites the wax vapor back into a flame.
Ah, okay.
Another fun fact, according to a 2017 study from the Journal of Food Research, blowing out birthday candles increased the amount of bacteria on the icing by 1,400%. The study says that the cake is still safe to eat, but take your own chances. That study was done before COVID. We used like a whatever.
I can't even imagine what was inside that.
No, that's less gross than. I mean, it takes air from. We used like one of those
a bellows.
Yeah, they're used to blow on a fire.
Yeah.
But yeah, think of like kids' birthday parties and stuff.
No, I will not do that. No. Mm-mm.
Okay, wishing on a fallen eyelash.
Oh.
So there's a couple different ways to do this. What do you know? Like, do you wish on a fallen eyelash, and what's your?
So usually I don't know that I have a fallen eyelash, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, Matt might come over and be like, "Oh, you have an eyelash." He'll pick it up and he holds it and he says, "Make a wish," and then like similar to like a birthday candle, you don't say it, you like silently just like wish as you blow the eyelash off the person's finger. That's what I know.
Okay. So I learned it a little differently. Mine is like you find like someone is like, "Oh, you have an eyelash." They take it off. You're supposed to like put each person like has the eyelash in their fingertips, and they like touch fingertips and push really hard, and you make a wish, and then you remove your fingertips, and whoever has the eyelash stuck to their finger is the one.
So like a wishbone.
Wish. Yes. And I saw both those like versions of, ways to do it. But the myth goes back to the mid-19th century. Its exact origins are unclear, but it seems like something that started among schoolgirls, similar to light as a feather, stiff as a board, which we talked about
I love
in another episode. The English myth is that you put a fallen eyelash on the back of your hand, wish, and throw it over your shoulder. If it leaves your hand, then your wish comes true.
Okay.
The Cornish schoolgirls myth says that the lash must be placed on the tip of the nose and blown off. So you have to blow it off the tip of your own nose.
Cute.
But like I said, no one really knows exactly where this came from. Some old legends say that the devil collects human hair as a way to control humans, or like evil spirits collect human hair. So when you blow away your eyelash, you're like not letting the evil spirits, get control of you.
Okay.
So those were the three from the puzzle, but I have one bonus wishing tradition, which you mentioned, the wishbone.
I was wondering.
So first, what is a wishbone? It's technically known as the bird's furcula, and it is the fusion of the two clavicles. So we also
it's like the breastbone, right?
Yeah.
Sort of,
in a bird, it's like very flexible because of their wings, but we have them too. This tradition comes way before Thanksgiving, which is where most Americans know it from. It actually started in ancient Italy with the Etruscans. So the Etruscans loved their chickens, and they thought that chickens were oracles who could predict the future. So they would use chickens as a type of Ouija board in a ritual called electromance or rooster divination. So they would draw a circle on the ground and divide it into wedges representing the letters of the Etruscan alphabet.
Okay.
Food was scattered on each wedge, and a chicken was placed in the center of a circle. As the bird ate, scribes would write down the sequence of letters that they pecked at, and local priests would use the message to divine the future and answer questions.
Okay.
Which is amazing.
Yes.
When a chicken was killed, the forcula, aka the wishbone, would be laid out in the sun to dry and become preserved. People would then pick up the bone, stroke it, and make wishes on it. And that's where it got the name the wishbone. Why this particular clavicle bone and not any other bone? Historians don't know. It's a mystery. So when the Romans crossed paths with the Etruscans, that's what this article said. I'm not sure how friendly this was, but they adopted some of their customs. But there weren't enough bones to go around, so they started having two people wish on the same bone and then break it in half, and whoever got the bigger piece would get their wish. So the Romans brought the tradition to the British Isles, and they eventually brought it to America, where it went from chicken bones to turkey bones, because that's what we eat on Thanksgiving. And there you have it.
Have you ever done a wishbone before?
Yes, I have.
Same. For us, it was like not necessarily the biggest piece, but if you got the top of the wishbone, that like little thing at the very top.
Yeah.
I mean, which I guess makes it the biggest, but you had to have that piece for it to have been
I always feel like
wished.
it's kind of unfair. Like you can tell which piece is going to be
Yeah.
the biggest because it's like one side is always like flimsy and weak.
Yep.
But yeah, we did the wishbones a couple times. I feel like, I don't know, not that often.
Yeah, no,
Depended.
not
And I wasn't always the one, you know, who was allowed to do it.
right.
But yeah, there you have
This
it.
girl didn't get many wishes on Thanksgiving. That's all I can say.
No, I do
Okay.
like to make my wishes though, like my 11/11 wishes, which I read
11/11,
about a
of
little
course.
bit, but there wasn't much to it. It's just like it's symmetrical, so it's like pleasing to the eye, and you know, some people claim that you see it all the time, and then other people are like, you only remember that you see it because it's a
It's
interesting number,
Right. Like right after 9/11, this is strange to say, but like right after 9/11, I always looked at the clock at 9/11, either in the morning or at night.
Yeah,
And it's not that I always looked at the clock then,
But you
it was
remembered.
just I remembered it because the number was so like quote important, you know. Anyway,
it's always good to end on 9/11. I think.
it is always. Let's move on.
Take it away.
My topic comes from the Monday, February 7th, New York Times by Rebecca Goldstein. 10 down. Prepared to play rock, paper, scissors. And the answer is made a fist.
Yes, I liked that one.
So I'm talking about rock, paper, scissors, which is something I thought
Cool.
Grace might have done.
It does feel like a topic I would do.
Well, we have covered a couple topics on this podcast related to hand gestures or like hand stuff. For instance, episode 17 is rude, nude, and teenage attitude. And I talked about the V sign or like the peace sign. And then in episode 109, the walls have ears and pinkies, Grace talked about pinky promises and different hand gestures. So we talk about hands on this podcast a lot.
We're covering our bases slowly but surely. We will get every hand topic.
We will literally get every hand topic. Okay. So yeah, that's why I just like, yes, we have to do rock, paper, scissors today. So for, you know, the literally 2.5 people out there that don't know what rock, paper, scissors is, it is a hand game usually played between 2 people. I have seen versions of rock, paper, scissors played between massive groups of people. And I have no idea how that works. Anyway. What?
I know that.
Oh, tell me.
Well, I know that if it's like a big group, there's one thing you can do where like you play against one other person, and then if you beat them, they like stand behind you. And basically every person you beat, it becomes like a line behind you.
I'm talking about when everybody plays simultaneously. So there's 5 of us and we all play at the same time.
I feel like you can only do it with 3. I guess you
So-
do 5 because you could do whoever. Like then it's
So the reason I know this, we'll get back to regularly scheduled program in just a second, listeners. The K-pop groups that I listen to, all of them play rock, paper, scissors for like, you know, the same reasons we would. Like, who's going to pay for this meal? Who's going to clean up the table? Whatever. And there's like 9 of them, and they all play. And then after a round, 2 people step out because they've won, and then the next 7 keep playing, and then 3 people win, and then the next 4 keep playing, and so on. And I'm like, I don't actually understand the mechanics of how they're playing rock, paper, scissors with 9 people. So if there's any listeners out there that understand how that mechanic works, please let me know. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. What I'm talking about is the 2-player version. Rock, paper, scissors. Here we go. So 2 people. Each player must make one of 3 shapes with their outstretched hands. We've got the rock, we got the paper, and the scissors. Rock is like your clenched fist. Scissors is like the V sign, but kind of like not like a peace sign. And then paper is the flat hand. And there's 3 possible outcomes of any one game. A draw, so you tie, so you have the same thing at the same time. A win or a lose. Rock beats scissors, paper covers rock, and scissors cuts paper. Like I said, most people know this. And it's usually used as a fair choosing method between 2 people, similar to coin flipping or drawing straws, or sometimes like rolling dice for whatever. However, unlike truly random selection methods, rock, paper, scissors can be played with a degree of skill, which we will get to later. Okay, so where does rock, paper, scissors come from? The earliest known reference of games involving flashing fingers or symbols with your hands comes from a tomb painting in Egypt dating around 2000 BCE. But if you've been listening to our podcast for a while, you will not be surprised to learn that the closest relative of rock, paper, scissors, to what we play today, that originates from ancient China, where literally
Shock.
everything. Are we shocked? No. I feel like every topic I do, it's
Yeah.
and we're going to China today, folks. You're in Greece, I'm in China, and we're teaching the world some stuff. The first mention of what is the closest relative of rock, paper, scissors is in a book titled Wazazu. It was written by a Ming Dynasty writer, and the game is called Xiaoshiling, and it dates back to the Han Dynasty, which is 206 BC through 220 AD. And the name Xiaoshiling means, quote, the three who are afraid of each other, and the three hand options are a frog, a slug, and a snake. An extended thumb represents the frog, an extended pinky finger represents the slug, and an outstretched index finger is the snake.
Cute.
Okay. And for hundreds of years, Xiaoshiling was exclusively a Chinese game. But then in the 1700s, we're booping and bopping, we head over to Japan. Japan is introduced to Xiaoshiling. And you might see in various places, if you decide to Google origins of rock, paper, scissors after this for whatever reason, you might see that in some places they list Japan as the originator of rock, paper, scissors, which is not true. It's been proven that it originated in China. But the reason why people think it was Japan is because it's massively popular in Japan, even to this day. And we'll talk about a famous case of a popular rock, paper, scissors thing that comes from Japan in just a bit. But it's from China, but it's really popular in Japan. Anyway, so now we're in Japan, it's 1700s. In Japan, there is a classification of hand games called Sansukumi Ken. And the Chinese Xiaoshiling falls into this kind of game. So the hand games are called Sansukumi Ken. And there's a bunch of different hand games in this bracket. And the Chinese version of rock, paper, scissors falls under there. In Japan, the Chinese version of rock, paper, scissors became known as Mushiken. Mushiken has the same hand gestures and animals as the Chinese version. So you have the frog, the slug, and the snake. This then evolved into what is called the Kitsune-ken, in which a fox beats a villager chief beats a hunter, and the hunter beats the fox.
Okay.
But then the hand game that is now played in Japan is called Jonken or Jonkenpon, which uses rock, paper, and scissors. So it's kind of evolved with time. And it's thought, like Pogs and Milk Caps, that it was the Japanese immigrants who came to the west coast of the United States that brought rock, paper, scissors with them to the U.S., and that's why it's popular here in the early 1900s. If you're interested in learning about Pogs or Milk Caps, you can listen to episode 115. It's another game. Okay. So that's kind of where it comes from. So let's talk a little bit about rock, paper, scissors strategy. Do you have any rock, paper, scissors strategy? When you play rock, paper, scissors, or do you think, I'm just going to go in random, I'm going to go in completely cold?
I think sometimes I try and do the same one in a row because people think you're going to switch it up. I feel like.
Right.
But I also saw on TikTok, they were men almost always, they almost always start with rock. So if you're playing against a guy, to always do paper.
Yes. So we'll talk a little bit about that. So let's go into some basic strategy. And then I have a section where I found an article where there's 10 or 11, here are some key tips to win at rock, paper, scissors every single time. I'm not going to go through all of them because they're some of them are long and really strategy oriented. But I'll talk about some of my favorites. And I was oh, I had no idea. This is really interesting. Anyway, but more generally, if you are big into rock, paper, scissors, or if you compete in rock, paper, scissors professionally, because you can, and it's sometimes occasionally shown on ESPN, then you may know that the only way to maximize your chances of winning is to get the game to be as random as possible. You're probably sitting there thinking like, well, isn't rock, paper, scissors just random in general? Like, isn't it just random? It is in no way random in the way that drawing straws are, or like flipping a coin is random, okay? Humans aren't able to behave entirely randomly. Like, if we're given a choice, that's not random. That's a decision. You know what I mean? So on top of that, adults overthink actions. They behave predictably, depending on their mood, their past experiences, their stress levels, etc. So all of these things have to be factored into that split-second choice right before you throw your decision in rock, paper, scissors. And because of that, there are ways to kind of predict or strategize in playing rock, paper, scissors. In an attempt to strategize, pro players have come up with ways to maximize randomness during any given match. And so, like I said, you want to get the game to be as completely random as possible, but the only way to randomize it is to kind of almost pre-strategize what your moves are going to be.
I see. And then you just play it no matter what. And you
play it no matter what.
It's random because you're not thinking about it in the moment.
Exactly.
Okay.
These predetermined moves are called gambits. They're essentially pre-decided sets of 3 throws that help reduce the chance that you give away your next move. So the whole reason you're doing this is to stop being predictable to your opponent. Think like physical tics. Like, there's ways to tell if somebody, like if you're holding your fist, a pro player can tell if you're going to throw fist or paper or scissors just by how like you can kind of hold
That's
your
what
hands.
makes them a professional.
That's why they're professionals, okay? That's why they're on ESPN and we're not. According to math, there are only 27 possible gambits within rock, paper, scissors, and you can use any of these gambits in competition or in a tournament, but the most widely used are what are known as the Great 8 Gambits, and I will tell you what they are right now. They have fun names. Okay. So, the first is the Avalanche, which is rock, rock, rock.
Ooh.
Then you have the Bureaucrat, which is paper, paper, paper. Then you have the Toolbox, which is scissor, scissor, scissor. The Crescendo is paper, scissors, rock. The denouement is rock, scissors, paper. The Fistful of Dollars is rock, paper, paper.
Okay.
The Paper Dolls is scissors, paper, paper. And the Scissor Sandwich is paper, scissor, paper.
Amazing.
And in addition to using gambits, professional players cite the importance of being able to predict an opponent's next move through their physical disposition. So you go into a tournament, it's you and me, we're sitting there, and I have already decided that I'm going to do the Bureaucrat, like no matter what. And you've already decided that you're going to do the Avalanche. And you just have to like decide in the moment like which gambit you're going to do, and you have to run it through the whole way. That's how you can keep it as random as possible. But you're also looking at your opponent and trying to decide, like, what are they going to throw?
Wait, so you only do... But that's the thing. You can't get in your own head about it, though. Right? You have to stick with your thing. But so you only do 3?
Yeah, so you decide in rounds of 3. So I'm not sure how the tournaments actually work. It's probably predetermined, like best out of 3 or best out of 6 or best out of 9. So you might, like if it's best out of 9, for instance, you probably are deciding I'm going to do the Avalanche, then I'm going to do the Bureaucrat, and then I'm going to do the Fistful of Dollars.
Amazing. But there's only 27?
27 possible combinations.
What makes those 8 the most popular?
That's a good question. I didn't find that at all. Because I didn't go looking for that.
Maybe they're just the ones with the best names.
Maybe someone those are the only 8 that someone sat down and named.
Yeah, because I feel like you would want to do the unpopular ones, right?
Right.
Different. I don't know, but who am I to say? I'm just an amateur player.
She's an amateur. I'll send her some of the links that I found about professional rock, paper, scissors players, and maybe we can get her up to speed.
I feel like that's a better avenue than curling for us.
Actually,
I mean, not Olympic
rock, paper,
level,
scissors sounds like math to me.
It's not, though.
It's essentially math. It's basically math. Oh my God, I'm already getting stressed out.
It's not math.
Can you tell that I don't like math?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on because I want to get to some more tips and tricks that I think will answer some of your questions.
I'm taking notes over here.
Okay. So, rock, paper, scissors has also been the subject of many mind game studies. According to Psychology Today, rock, paper, scissors involves observation, mindfulness, manipulation, emotional intelligence, strategy, and skill. And some of that skill involves exploiting your opponent's non-random behavior. You have to be really, really good at reading people.
Mm-hmm.
I could do this. A Chinese study suggested that rock, paper, scissors is actually a game of psychology more than chance, making it possible to exploit your opponent's predictable patterns. So they took a group of 360 students. They were divided into 60 groups. In each group, the players played 300 rounds of rock, paper, scissors against one another. On the surface, the results appeared to be no surprise. The players in all of the groups chose each action about 1/3 of the time, just as if it were random, right?
Mm-hmm.
But taking a closer look at their behavior uncovers a strategy called conditional response, or what turns out to be a win, stay, lose, shift strategy, essentially meaning when players try to employ some kind of strategy, they decrease the chance that their game will remain random.
Okay. It can't be in your own head. That's basically the...
You just got to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You just got to do it.
I feel like that's good for us. We're impulsive like that.
I know. It really plays to my impulsivity.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine just showing up to a rock, paper, scissors tournament and just like throwing a wrench into all these like men strategies about how to win this game? I would just do whatever I wanted. Anyway, so this leads me to the Jan Ken robot. In June of 2012, researchers from the University of Tokyo unveiled a robot capable of winning a game of rock, paper, scissors 100% of the time. They named it Janken in reference to the Japanese name of the game. Technically speaking, Janken achieves success essentially by cheating. There's a camera that allows it to predict the opponent's move, like because it can capture the way the hand looks, like in milliseconds.
Mm-hmm.
And so it can beat you every single time. And then in 2013, scientists at a laboratory as a part of the University of Tokyo, invented a second version of the machine that only takes a single millisecond to register what you're going to play, which is just crazy to me.
Wow.
Right. So now let's get into some tips and tricks from your local resident rock, paper, scissors pro athlete.
Mm-hmm.
The first, there's a lot here, so I'm only going to go through a couple of them. The first, expect repetition. Winners tend to stick with the same action that led to their success. When something works, we repeat it. So if you lose with rock and they played paper, they'll play with paper again next, and you should go with scissors. In other words, when you lose, jump ahead 2 actions in the sequence.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you've got your gambits planned, but like depending on how it's what they play, you might switch your gambit mid play.
But you can't.
It's all I know, it's all strategy, right?
Uh-huh.
So follow the sequence when your opponent loses. Losers change their strategy and move to the next action clockwise, so rock, paper, scissors in the sequence. If they lose with rock and you played paper, they'll play paper next. So you should play scissors. In other words, when you win, go to the next action in the sequence.
Okay.
Okay. This is what we were kind of just talking about. Know your symbols. There may be subliminal reasons for your opponent choosing a particular symbol. Rock is very aggressive. It's symbolized by the fist. Players subconsciously think of rock as a weapon and will rely on it when other strategies are not working. Scissors, some aggression. They're sharp and dangerous, but also useful. They represent controlled aggression used as a clever throw, often when someone is confident or winning already. Then you have paper. The most subtle move, an open hand is passive, peaceful, friendly. Some players won't use this when falling behind because it may symbolize weakness. Other players identify with paper and the power of print, so it's a subtle attack.
Mm-hmm.
In those cases, paper may be used to signify superiority. Okay. Choose rock for rookies. Rock is a typical opening move for rookies, especially for men. Since rock is associated with strength and fortitude, knowing this, a good opening move against a novice is often paper.
Okay, well, I feel like we shouldn't be saying this because now they're going to know.
I know. Let's see if there's another one that I want to... Okay, let's see. Know the stats. Statistically, the expected average is 33.3% if everything is completely random. It turns out that the most common throw is rock, 35%, scissors, 35%, and then paper, 29.6%. Not sure what to do next? Picking paper may give you a very slight advantage.
Okay.
Okay. And then I'll read you one more. Manipulate your opponent. Gently manipulate your opponent towards choosing a particular action or not choosing a particular action. If you can subtly get your opponent to not throw rock, then you choose scissors. It will either lead you to tying or winning with them. Manipulation comes in many flavors. For instance, tell your opponent what you are going to throw and then actually do it. As they will likely not expect you to be that fearless and honest. The one thing that they probably won't throw down is the action that beats yours. If you say rock, your opponent will likely throw rock or scissors, leading you to a victory or a tie. Another subtle manipulation technique derives from neuro-linguistic programming. At the start of the game, remind someone about the rules. You might say scissors beats paper, paper beats rock. Show a sample of rock with an arm movement, and rock crushes scissors. Demonstrate how the rock crushes the scissors. In Magic, this is called a force. Now expect them to throw down rock. Obviously, your answer will be paper. Just to kind of like psychologically put it in their mind. Magicians do that.
They plant stuff in your head.
They do.
And you don't even know.
And there's more. I'm not reading. But that, all what I just read comes from The Surprising Psychology of Rock, Paper, Scissors by Dr. Neil Farber on Psychology Today. But I want to end with a fun story about the Japanese craze. Well, how Japanese people love rock, paper, scissors. Mm-hmm. In 2005, a Japanese businessman decided to auction off his art collection, which included masterpieces from people like Picasso and Van Gogh, etc. But he couldn't decide between Christie's and Sotheby's as the best auction house. He was like, I don't know which one to pick. So he made the two auction houses compete in a game of janken, or rock, paper, scissors. So the two auction houses were given a weekend to strategize and to plan their one critical move. And then this is a quote from the New York Times article that covered it. Quote, instead of the usual method of playing the game with the hands, the teams were given a form explaining the rules. They were then asked to write one word in Japanese, rock, papers, or scissors, on a piece of paper. After each house had entered its decision, a manager looked at the choices. Christie's was the winner. Scissors beat rock. We were told immediately.
No, wait.
Go ahead.
Scissors doesn't beat rock.
Oh, sorry. Scissors beat paper. Excuse me. I read the quote wrong. Scissors beat paper. Quote, we were told immediately and then asked to go downstairs to another room and wait while the forms went off to headquarters to be approved, Mr. Rendell said. He described the atmosphere in the room as difficult, saying both sides were forced to, quote, make small talk after the event.
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'd get in my own head. It makes sense that they didn't play rock because they're going to be like, everyone's going to, the person played paper, expecting that the other person was going to play rock, but I feel like that's the most obvious one. What do you do?
I want to know if they consulted with pro rock, paper, scissors players.
Yeah. That sucks to lose on that.
I know. I just thought it was amazing that he made these famous auction houses play fucking rock, paper, scissors for his collection. I was like, power move. I love that. Anyway, I got a lot of really great information from a couple articles. I'm not going to list them all here, but I'll call out two more. The Long Winding History of Rock, Paper, Scissors by Anna Ben Yehuda Ramanan on Popular Mechanics, and then A Cultural History of Rock, Paper, Scissors by Catherine Schwab on The Atlantic. We've talked about The Atlantic before.
The Atlantic
Thank God for them.
Keeps coming out with their hard-hitting journalism.
Seriously.
They have an article on everything.
They do. And if you don't have an Atlantic article on your topic, then you're like, sometimes I feel lost in the sauce. I'm like, well, where do I even begin then?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Agreed.
So now we will either become Olympic curlers or pro rock, paper, scissors players.
Yeah, we'll let everyone know.
Mm-hmm.
So keep in touch with us.
Yes.
If you want to talk to us, you can find us on Twitter at the Good Eve Girls.
Or Instagram at the Good Evening Girls. Feel free to drop us a line about your favorite rock, paper, scissors strategies so we can employ them in our professional rock, paper, scissors career.
I wish I could make that Oh, wait, maybe I can. When you vote on the poll, do you see what other people have chosen?
I think after the fact.
Do you only see after you voted? Okay.
After the fact.
All right, well.
Ooh.
So follow us on Twitter if you want to vote and see how you shake out.
how you shake out. Okay. I wonder if the statistics that we read about, rock, paper, and scissor being picked however much.
Yeah, although now
time.
I feel like we're going to skew it. Everyone's going to pick paper. But maybe not.
Well, we'll see.
Maybe that's what
people are going to get in their
think.
head. They're
Yeah.
going to get in their head. Anyway, we're all fun and games here. We
us.
always have you here. We always love having you here to play these little mind games with us. So when you wish upon a star, think about hand games. I tried hard there.
Well put.
Thank you. Thank you.
Keep curious, everyone.
Please do. And until next time, goodbye.
Bye.